Hi everyone, this is David with Realty One Group Results, and today I'm gonna take you along on a drive up to Mountain Lion Road. We're in Lear, North Carolina, and got a number of people that have been asking about this property, and I just thought we'd do a little ride along, and I want to talk about two subjects while we're riding. Understanding of what those subjects are. A lot of people asking what are some key considerations in buying off-grid property. Big topic, right? Everybody wants to go off-grid right now. I'm getting a lot of requests from people for land, potentially for locations that they can get off the grid, maybe produce their own power, their own food. And so we're going to talk about that. I've taken the time to note what I consider to be the most important after I drive over that tree. All right, are you ready? Here we go. So, key considerations to buying off-grid land. The number one I've got there is community people. So what I mean by that is being around or living near people who are like-minded. I'm not saying you all have to drive Chevrolets and grill hot dogs on the weekend, but some basic things like human liberty, right, I think are critical, and understanding that you want to be around other people that have a similar...
In half a mile, turn left onto Reedy Branch Road.
Number two is location. Consider things like heating resources. How am I going to stay warm? If you're going to be truly off-grid, how are you going to do that? Growing season. So another thing to consider as far as location goes. For example, if you decide you want to buy off-grid property in Montana, well, you might not be growing tomatoes. A shorter growing season, right? You're not going to be growing tomatoes in March or whatever. So you get my point there. Number three is water. Does the property have water? If it does not have water, you're going to have to drill a well, which is fine. In the state of North Carolina, generally speaking, wells, I've been hearing estimates from people of $12,000, $10,000 to $12,000. Will people estimate lower than that? Of course they will. But what do you end up actually paying is the key thing, right? So water, if there's not a spring and there's not a creek, you're going to have to think about, how am I going to get water to water my plants, to drink, to bathe, whatever. Next thing is on my list, number four, is terrain. I know this,
turn left onto Reedy Branch Road.
I know this sounds, may sound, I don't want to sound condescending, but we're talking about terrain. Mountains are made out of rock. There's not a lot of tillable soil on a mountain. You're not going to show up, buy a $50,000 piece of property and show up and start, growing squash. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You may have to develop raised beds. This takes time. So these are all considerations when you're looking at land, and understanding that if you want someplace remote, like the area I'm going to right now, you're going to have to answer that question. And I'm perfectly fine doing it. If you have the time to develop raised beds and get the right compost, get the right dirt in there, possibly even bring some dirt in, I think it's doable. There are some areas in the mountains where you can grow things, but you're not going to grow 4 or 5 acres of it. It's just that land does not exist largely in North Carolina, Western North Carolina. All right. So terrain. terrain is important to consider. Also, site development. All right, look, do you see this? That's a cliff. When people say to me they want mountain property, they don't consider site development. This can be very costly when it comes to getting driveways in, or putting in roads, or getting access, generally speaking, to the property. So you want to give some thought to that. Remote property, we want remote for a reason. We want remote because no one's going to come up there. We don't want neighbors. We don't want people, turning around in our driveways or whatever. We want to be in a place where largely people are not going to be frequenting, okay? So terrain, site development is a big one. It can cost a lot of money. I think small bulldozer in this area is running about $300 an hour. So by the time they come in and cut a road for you, moving trees out of the way and so forth, you've got an investment there. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm only saying consider that. All right. And then the last thing to consider that I have, and I just kept it to 5, is remote. Big question here. Will the property you buy that's remote today be remote in the next 5 or 6 years? It's a great question. It might be, it might not be. I think that you consider buying land. You want to be remote. You want to be off grid. You want people coming along and asking you questions about how you're living your life there on the piece of land. Then being remote can be important. I don't know how important it is to you. I'm only saying is that you need to consider the growth around the land you're looking at, the area, the overall geographic area. Think, or at least be aware of what is the possibility that I'll have neighbors in the next, 4 or 5 years, or how many will I have? Is it growing? Do you see a lot of growth, a lot of development there? I'm not sure. I think we've been by 4 or 5 houses here so far on this road. This is an area that is very remote. You're not going to see, in 20 years from now, this place is still going to be remote. I don't care what happens in our country. I think it's safe to say this area is going to be remote. All right? So those are my top 5 considerations, and let me just recap. So we've got community, having the right people around you. Hey, speaking of that, how many of us know that if you have the wrong people around you, what that can do to your life, right? And that's in a civilized world. So if you're in a place where you think you might need people around you who can help you, it's really a critical thing to think about. Having the right people can change everything. And then, of course, location. Talked about water, terrain, and whether it's remote, how remote it is, whether you want it to be remote or not. All right, those are my top 5 things to consider in buying land, off-grid property. All right, next thing I was going to talk about is how to buy it. And I made another sheet for that. Imagine that. So my how to buy land is a lot simpler, and it all starts with being prepared. All right. So how do you buy raw land, vacant land? Number 1, financing. Determining in advance how you're going to pay for the land. Don't try to find the land and then hope it stays available until you secure financing or money, because that's not going to happen. I'm just telling you, it is not going to happen. Land, all real estate property right now is moving very rapidly in general. Okay? Even this kind of property is moving. There is a high demand for off-grid property Not in every region, but in this region, there is. I'm getting a lot of people that are looking for it. Okay, so if you have the cash, if you have, check out that view. Is that not beautiful right there? I'm going to zoom in on that. That's why people come up here. But you also have to think about growing food and sustaining yourself up here. You know, that's wonderful, but you got to know how to do it in the mountains, in a mountain setting or in a foothill setting, if you're going to do that. All right, so financing. Cash is king. There, I said it. If you don't have cash, you're at a disadvantage. Having the cash is critical. There are a number of lending sources on land, on raw land, that you can look at. One is credit unions. If you expect to go to Bank of America or Wells Fargo and get a loan for 50 grand on a piece of land, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. Unless you've got maybe a couple $100 grand in the bank and you want to borrow money against it for a piece of land, that's different. But to go in and buy a piece of land from a bank, or get a loan for it, it's probably not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Credit unions, on the other hand, not all credit unions, but I am familiar with credit unions who will do 50% of the value of the land, right? So there are also niche lenders out there who will do 75% of the land, 75% of the value. So that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. The chances of you finding that at a credit union, not very likely. All right. So preparing yourself to make an offer, you've got to be able to move once you find the land. Don't try to find it and then go worry about financing. It's not going to happen. Well, let's just go look. This is what I hear a lot. All right. So if it takes you 2 or 3 weeks to get approved, everything you researched, all the land you burned your gas going to see, is likely going to be gone. So you essentially just wasted a lot of time and money for nothing. All right. So put some bullets in the gun, and put the metaphorical bullets in the gun, and prepare yourself to be able to pull the trigger. Go see your credit union. If you don't have 50 grand in the bank or whatever you want to spend, go see your credit union. Right? Find some of these niche lenders and get contacted with them. Find out what you need to do to get pre-qualified, to get pre-approved. Go through the steps, get pre-approved. Then you'll get a letter from your lender that says you're pre-approved, and go do it. Find a realtor who you know and trust, somebody who understands the world of off-grid and can help you find a place, help you find a piece of land. All right, so there's that. The next thing I have here is offer. When you make an offer, there's a phrase that's going around right now in the real estate industry in North Carolina, and that is highest and best. I think, I'm not saying it's impossible to negotiate on a piece of land. What I am saying is it's very unlikely you're going to be able to negotiate. I had a young couple on a house. I sold a house recently, and they had USDA loan and a FHA loan approvals, and they said to me, well, our lender told us to ask about the seller participating in closing costs. That just doesn't happen. It's, I'm seeing 5 and 6 offers on property, and sellers are just picking whichever one is the best for them. They're not, you know, there's so much competition. They don't need to pay help you pay closing costs. Okay, but anyway, I digress. So highest and best, come with your highest and best. Have a checklist. Develop a checklist for yourself. Say to yourself, okay, these are things that are important to me. And if you have a piece of land, it checks all those boxes, or most of them, come with a higher offer. For example, if it's got a road in it, or it's got a driveway already existing, that's less money you need to spend to develop it. We're getting ready. I'm going to show you this Mountain Lion property real quick. It's got a driveway in there. Does that increase the value of it? Yeah, it sure does. It absolutely does. So the more boxes it checks, come with a higher offer. Don't, you know, and your realtor should be able to find out if there's other offers pending. And so now, lastly, it's not on my list, but last thing I want to discuss with you is when you find a piece of land, it checks all the boxes, you're getting ready to make an offer, or you make an offer, don't talk to people. Do not talk to your friends in your group. Do not talk to your neighbors. Do not talk to anybody. Time and time again, I have seen people, you're not going to believe it, but I have seen people buy property out from one another. They buy it right out from under one another. And, oh yeah, so Joe's standing around the water cooler talking about this piece of land they're about to make an offer on. And next thing you know, his buddy goes, oh, man, that sounds good. Maybe I'll put an offer on it. This happens more than you would care to believe, but it happens. It's happened to me twice just in the last 2.5 weeks. It's happened twice. So, okay, this is Mountain Lion Road now. Alright, so we're going to go up here to the end of Mountain Lion Road. That's all I have to say about how to buy vacant land. You know, it's real simple. Majority of it is having your checklist and looking for land that checks those boxes, and then being pre-approved, get your money in order, and then when you find the land, be ready. Do not delay. You find the land, pull the trigger. Don't be shy about it. Pull it. Okay? So we're going to go up here to the rest of Mountain Lion. If that's all you wanted to hear was how to do those two things, I'm done talking about those two things. All right? So if you want to disconnect, if you want to see where this road goes, and you want to see what real remote property looks like, there's a little cabin up there. I don't know if you can see that. Guys, this is a remote road. This is a very remote area. As I said, this is Mountain Lion Road in Purlear, North Carolina. And I'm going to guess it depends on, it seems like each time I come up here is a little different, but generally speaking, 12 to 15 minutes to get back here. And I'm probably driving a little faster than most people would in these circumstances. Anyway. Alright, so Mountain Lion. We got a house here. Well, it's a cabin. There's a cabin back in that one in there. And there's a cabin up in there. You can see it looks pretty small. As I said, now maybe I didn't say this, but this property is in an HOA. The HOA does not restrict land use. It is strictly for the maintenance of the road. All right. You can see that they have been bringing gravel in here and a grader, and when the need arises, they'll bring equipment in here. and try to get the road back in shape. Many people who ask me for mountain property don't understand that when it rains in the mountains, the water usually goes right down the roads and it creates erosion like you cannot believe. So you've got to have, unless you intend to buy your own bulldozer or your own blade or something, loader, you need to be able to have a situation where you can care the road can be maintained. All right, this is Mountain Lion Road. I'm going to jump out here and I'm going to take a quick walk down into Mountain Lion and let you get a look. You can see that this property, the road, continues up that way. All right. And I think there's even a portion, I don't know if you can see it, I'll zoom in here. You can see the road travels right up, see right up through there, okay? And then it continues up the mountain. And this is actually the backside of Buck Mountain, if you're familiar with your geography, Western North Carolina, Buck Mountain. So you see what I mean about the erosion, right? This would be so difficult with one hand. Right, hold on. All right, you see what I'm talking about with the erosion. Typical mountain. This is a driveway right through here. Somebody brought a camper in here. Years ago and left it. And it's in, I don't know what kind of shape it's in. I haven't been on it. In it, it's locked, but it's there. 44 Mountain Lion Road. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can, just because I don't want to. All right. So we're right on a ridge. It goes down nice and gradual right through there. There's another lot that's adjacent to this. It's lot 43. And 43 is much steeper, but there's more water on it. Okay, more water. It's beautiful, guys. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful up here. There's a little number of logging trails back through here. You can see one right there. This is a 10-acre piece of land. I think the taxes were a couple $100 a year. It's one parcel. Right, I don't know if you can see, I think you probably can. There's a little hollow right down here and over here. And there's water running out of the ground on either sides down there. So I think if somebody knew how to capture that, which I do, and many people do, but if you knew how to capture that, you know how to dig a hole and create some sort of a catchment system, you can get a pump in there and pump that up to a holding tank, or maybe up to where that trailer was, if you decided you wanted to do something up there. But there's all kinds of opportunities. It's absolutely beautiful back here. It really is. And that is some high ground. You wanted to put a number of cabins in here. What we're looking at is the backside of the lot. So Mountain Lion Road continues right up this ridge. So you could access from this way as well. You could put another driveway in up there, and you could put a cabin, maybe just like a single pitch roof, 12 by 24 or 16 by 24. All kinds of beautiful spots in here. And I've seen deer back here all the time. All kinds of sign, but you've got this ravine that kind of goes down here and then it loops to the right. So back up where the camper was, there are some really nice views. We're getting into 22 minutes here on this video, and I just do not like making videos this long because, quite frankly, they can be boring, but also can be educational if you take the time to watch them. So I just want to thank you for listening, for watching this video. I want to say thank you to you, and please consider me for all your real estate needs, whether it's land, off-grid land, or a cottage, a cabin, or maybe a regular traditional home. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about land, about financing. I do everything I can to help the off-grid community. Blessings. Thank you.